Welcome, everybody. How many people actually, let me start the chat box going here. There we go. How many people here are Dr. Joe people? Just type in a yes in the chat box if you're a Dr. Joe person. I know, actually, this is a trick question because Angela and I are going to be roommates at her very first event in
Yes,
Cancun coming up in June.
soon to be Dr.
Super
Joe.
excited. Hi,
I'm so
Leanne. Nice to
excited.
see you. David, great. A lot of Dr. Joe people here. And this is recorded, so for people that are at work and can't make it today, they'll get to hear it later. And we are waiting for Leland. How many people here in the chat got to hear the interview with Leland that I did with him back in January? His story was really so. I mean, I already knew that he had been a quadriplegic once and a paraplegic once, and had healed himself both times with breath work, which was extraordinary. But hearing all the details was great. And I mean, he provided so much information about his own personal story, which we'll get into a little bit. Actually, I might as well, while we're waiting for him. So he was wakeboarding after having done a very, very difficult mission and enjoying his R&R that was well deserved. And the guy took a complete left turn and he went flying, severed his spine, ended up in the hospital, unable to move his arms and his legs. And the doctor says, well, get used to not having use of your arms and legs. And fortunately for Leland, his physical therapist was an Ashtanga yoga expert and taught him breath work. And right away, he could feel the brachial plexus lighting up. And that was hugely inspirational because, I mean, you're laying there in bed. What else are you going to do except get your body back? So he was completely committed to this, ended up healing himself, but because of the previous wounds that he had had from having an alcoholic father, moving around a whole bunch in the military, he ended up getting addicted to drugs and ended up homeless. It shattered his relationships and he bottomed out and once again turned to yoga. He went into yoga teacher training and was able to heal those deep wounds that had led him to the drug use. And then, I mean, God has a sense of humor, or let's just say life is interesting. He gets hit by a car and ends up being a paraplegic, and he's like looking up at the sky, going, "What is this? How is it possible that I was a quadriplegic once? Now I'm a paraplegic." But having learned all the tools from breath work to restore his body, he was able to do that quickly and easily. So the good news is also that doing it a second time, he was able to document the whole journey. And now he's making this available to the military, which is super exciting. So Leland has a whole bunch of different levels of what he offers for breath work and getting started in that. And then we're going to also talk about the power of the subconscious mind, which is my favorite thing, because I've just found people to get over all kinds of mental, emotional, spiritual, and physical blocks really quickly by accessing that part of their brain that is 90 to 95% of our brain, as scientists now know. Our conscious mind is only processing 40 bits of information per second. Our subconscious mind is processing 40 million bits of information per second. So if your conscious mind wants to go in one direction and your subconscious mind wants to go in another direction, who is going to win that battle? Which is why I always say to people, look, if you could have uh, solved your problem already, then you would have done so already. The answer so often is not in the conscious mind. It's buried deep in the subconscious. So as soon as we get going here, I will go into more detail on that. So for example, I worked with a fellow, actually he was my #1 interview from last year. He used the Dr. Joe material to pull his son out of a 22-day coma. Yes, his son was in a coma for 22 days. They had done 3 MRIs. There were 4 experts that said he's not coming back. We're so sorry. The father had had a near-death experience when he was a young man, um, and and knew that there was that in-between place that we went to in between lives as we were leaving one life and moving on. So he connected to his son and said, look, I know it's a beautiful place. If you want to go, I'm okay with that. But if you want to come back, track your eyes from left to right. Give me a sign so I can do something to help you. The eyes tracked from left to right. Now, this kid had a tremendous amount of friends that showed up at the hospital each and every day. This was during COVID. They couldn't see him, they couldn't be with him, but there was this amazing, loving community around him. He was a Dr. Joe guy, so he sets up a coherence healing on a Friday and a Monday. And guess what ends up happening?
He wakes up.
The kid wakes up. Wakes up like a Hollywood movie. So you guys can all listen to that interview. It's on Next Level Healing. It's available on all platforms. His name is Philip, the dad. And then the dad said, gosh, I've got 40 years of back pain. He was all excited when he found out I was an acupuncturist. And I said, you know what? You've done acupuncture, you've done chiropractic. Why don't we find out what's stuck in your subconscious mind? Because if you break your femur, which is the thickest bone in your body, that should be healed better than ever in 8 weeks if nothing's getting in the way. He said, great, sign me up, because again, he already knew how powerful the subconscious mind is. We did, in 2 sessions, he was 90% free of the back pain and is still doing great. I said, are you surprised by how quickly that healed? Because he's also on one of my podcasts, Next Level Healing, and then in the last couple of months. He said, no, I know how powerful my mind is. So that's the whole point of this webinar. What we're doing here today is just giving people the tools, skills that just allow us to up-level our lives really quickly. Breath work is amazing. I have found it to be an absolutely indispensable part of the Dr. Joe training, because it just gets everything accelerated much more quickly. Does anybody on the call here have thoughts and feelings and experiences with breath work? Has anybody ever utilized it? I'm guessing, David, since you're so deeply into the Dr. Joe work, you've done some of this work.
I haven't really, like I said, I've just read his work. I've got a friend who's actually went to one of the sessions of the events, and then I've done breath work myself through. So I want to find out more. Is really where I'm at right now, because I believe in it. It's huge. In fact, maybe you could tell me this. I did this when I was in high school, and I don't know if it was dangerous or not, but my brother did it, and I got like 8 hours sleep. I was standing in front of my brother, took 10 deep breaths, held it, and he squeezed me. I passed out. My eyes went back and forth, woke up, and felt like I had like 8 hours sleep. And then I read later on that's you don't get oxygen on the brain, but I don't always believe everything I read either. I would like to know more about breath just because of that experience, if nothing else.
That's a great question. A lot of new people coming in. Hi, Lori. Hi, Terry. Oh my gosh, it's been a while since I've seen you. Hi, Holly. Hey, Magda. Oh my goodness, we got such a good group of people here. Yay. That is a great question for Leland, because Leland is studying all the neurobiology. Hello, Tanya. Nice to see you. And yes, those are great questions. I do absolutely know and have heard so many stories of people healing themselves with breath work. And the contraindications are definitely worth noting. Having been to now 7 live Dr. Joe events, people do a lot of the breath work. They do a lot of the clamping down of the lower abdominal muscles and sending it up to the pineal gland. I've never seen anything adverse happen in that environment with all of this going on. Often for many, many hours, we've done pineal gland meditations that last up to 4 hours. With a fair amount of breath work and dinging that pineal gland. And mostly what I have seen is just overwhelming positive experiences that people have, including stage 4 cancer going away. People that weren't walking and are able to walk. Reduction of paralysis, reduction of pain, reduction of depression, anxiety. Just across the board, people are getting, really great results in that. Let me see if I can share. I will probably just, nope, I can't do that until Leland gets here. Let's see. So one thing that has been so thrilling to me, because I did acupuncture and nutritional medicine for 23 years, and over and over again, I would see how people's pain would diminish rapidly, how paralysis could reverse. I worked with a lot of stroke patients, a lot of Bell's palsy patients, even drop foot, something where the spinal cord gets impinged and somebody ends up dragging their foot. I found that was quite easy to reverse. The reason I'm 100% focused on the subconscious mind right now, though, is because it's astonishing to me that when people remove the blockages that are getting in their way of healing, and it's typically things like feeling overwhelmed, feeling some form of fight or flight, some form of stress, some form of fear, anxiety, not feeling good enough, not feeling like they're worthy. I always say the good news is I don't have to figure it out. And the good news is you don't have to figure it out. Obviously, if you could have figured it out, you would have done so already. We just talk somebody into a relaxed state. There's 4 brainwave states. 2 of them are sleeping, 2 of them are awake. Alpha, beta, delta, theta. We are all in beta right now, so we can multitask. We can know what's going on around us. We can, handle a whole bunch of different things all at once. When you're in that relaxed alpha state, when you're meditating, when you're calm, when you're focused, you have those brain waves have started to slow down, and you have much greater access to your subconscious mind. So I typically like to ask people before we do a session, and I also have an intake form that I have people fill out, and I do offer a half an hour free consultation. So if anybody goes to my website, consulttara.com or nashvillehealer.com, it'll take you to the same place. You can just fill those questions out. Let me know what you're struggling with, how you've worked on solving it, what's gotten in your way, and the cost to you if you don't solve this problem. Because a lot of us, we think in terms of the cost of the different therapies, but truly there's a huge cost to not solving these problems. I wish to God I had known when I was 20 what I know today. I'm sure we can all say that, but it's never too late. Who do we have there? Leanne Sears, how are you? I don't know if I can unmute you. I might. Oh, there you go. Hello. How are you today?
I'm great. I actually am very excited to see you because I seen you at the AFU in Marco Island in
Oh my God, it's so
January.
great to see you. Yes, you look so familiar.
And I also seen you in September. And September I was involved in the healing. I was a Healy there at Dr. Joe, and I
Uh-huh.
had really great yummy stuff happen when I was there. I knew it was good the moment it happened.
Uh-huh.
I had, because I have stage 4, well, my body has stage 4 cancer. But when I came back and I had my scans, I was so much better. Like, that's what my oncologist calls me, is so much better. And I hadn't been on chemo for like 14 months. But if you get in your own way,
Yeah. Yeah.
get in the way, things can shift backwards and stuff. And so I started feeling like things slipping, and the environment is very different than, when you're in a this a retreat kind of state.
Yeah.
And so I started doing this work with the Willful Warrior, and to be able to check in with like-minded people, even if I can, like once a day, is such a really genuine, it's a gift.
Yes.
And so I've just started in the, say, last 6 weeks, and I've really have been enjoying myself and meeting new people. And so I found that has been very helpful for me as well.
Leanne,
But I'm always concerned about I'm a little concerned about the breath, and maybe what I'm doing that is not good for me. That, I'm a little confused with that. I've my whole majority of my life was as a yoga therapist, and I worked with people, and I'm very accustomed to different types of breath work and stuff like that. But it is different when you're applying it to yourself than when you're applying it to somebody else. That's all I can say. So I'm forever a student, and I'm here to learn more.
I am
And
so
I'm really happy to see you.
I am so happy to see you. You are such a bright, shining light. My goodness, I am so great. And I love that you caught yourself in the beginning. You said my body has cancer, because the more you separate, I mean, your brain is so programmable that just be really careful. And I wouldn't even say that. I would say something like, there's something showing up on my scans, and it's getting better and better. Because in fact, I'm interviewing Leanne Reisner. Sorry, no, Ellen Langer tomorrow. She's the Harvard Harvard researcher who Tony Robbins and Joe Dispenza and everybody into transformational works quotes regularly. And I see that we have our maestro, Leland Holgate, patiently waiting there. So I would love for all of you guys with your breathwork questions to have access to him, because truly it is a little bit daunting sometimes to know, am I doing this correctly? We know that there's a treasure trove of healing available to us, but we want to make sure we're doing it right. Leland, I'm just going to pass over these questions to you. I think you were present for Leanne's question. Yeah. David has another question. He wants to know if he's doing it right. Welcome, Leanne Holgate.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah. And thank you for being patient with me all. Our last little awaken session drove over there. So good to be here. And we had Leanne with a question on Leanne. So your question once again was just around if you're doing it correct. Is that what you're looking at?
Well, I have listened to a couple of messages you said about people who have been experiencing cancer, that there's contraindications with the breath work, and that some people should be doing the breath work a certain way. And yeah. I wanted to get clarification on that.
Yeah, no, absolutely, Epic. Thank you for asking. In fact, one of the biggest aspects of that is when somebody is overcoming cancer, cancer itself inside of the body is actually an alkaline form. So whenever you do too much of that alkaline breathing and you're not focused on the CO2 tolerant side of things or elevating your CO2, then you can actually create a system for somebody that isn't too healthy. So we focus a lot on that CO2 type breathing as well to help unlock and create a little bit more of a base level. So that way you're not too high on the alkalinity. Yeah, good question. That's a really great question. It's one of the things too that I've really tried focusing on recently, because we notice everybody loves to get high on their own supply, even I do. But of course, if that's all I'm doing, then I'm not really serving myself. You know, I'm over oxygenating the body. And we'll talk about that more as we go on and as you guys may ask questions. But just so you know, CO2 is the most misunderstood gas that's out there. We look at it as a byproduct or a waste product, right? When in fact, CO2 is what has the key to unlock oxygen inside of the body. And we'll talk more about that.
So Leland, how do they know when they're doing it correctly, and how do they have guidelines as they move through it to know that they're doing their bodies good and not doing their bodies harm?
Yeah, absolutely. So as long as you are sticking to a lot of the breaths in between, like the heart math breathing is one of the ones that I teach a lot, right? Sticking with that nice, even breath pattern in between, you're going to make a big difference. Now, if you're doing the breath work and you're noticing adverse feelings, you're noticing that you're starting to get nauseous, or you're noticing that you're super lethargic, or you're noticing energy drop and all that good stuff, then that needs some attention. If you're doing the breath work correctly, you're going to feel energized. And when you not only feel energized, you won't feel in that drain of energy, or just where you want to sit around. If you're doing too much of the breathing, then you can be over breathing. You'll create a lot of these amazing feelings, but then you'll be low on the energy side of things because your body's not actually using any of that. So you'll know based on the way that you're feeling. And the best way to tell if you're doing it correctly or not is follow the practices, the guidance that's there with some of the practices that you guys have. If you're doing 20 to 30 minute practices, then in between also focus on just checking in with your breath. Because throughout the day, that's the most important breaths that we take, actually. And I think Brian or David, you had a question, right?
Yes, I asked earlier, and this is like 50 years ago when I was in high school. My brother came in and he kind of learned this out. He was deep tasting corn, and he comes in, he goes, "Hey, we've learned some new stuff." And so anyway, long story short, I stood in front of him. He stood behind me. I did 10 deep breaths. And then on the 10th one, I held it and he squeezed me. I passed out and my eyes kind of went back and forth. I was out for a few minutes, woke up, felt like I had 8 hours sleep. Then I not too long ago, I'm trying to find out, and I found out that's not good because you could get oxygen on the brain, but I don't know if that's true or not.
Well, yeah, and the way that he did that, he's basically, with that pressure that he's creating, he's forcing that pressure up to the cavity, your cranial cavity. So of course, blood or oxygen is one of the compounds that can cross the blood-brain barrier. So if you're increasing pressure too much, then yeah, that can really, I mean, that's bad pressure wise too, because you've got so many areas up here. I would
Right.
not suggest doing that.
That's
while,
what I thought, but
while it was probably fun, there's ways to experience that with the breath, namely the reset breath, because then you can do that safely by oxygenating the body, dumping carbon dioxide, and then moving in to create some of that safe pressure by swallowing into the belly. So I hope that
gotcha.
helps.
Thank you.
Yeah, you got it. And what else did I miss? I know Dr. Tara here is absolutely amazing. Thank you for saving the show, running
Well,
behind on my schedule.
I basically told your life story and how incredible it was in an absolute mini version. So if people want the long version, they can just go on Next Level Healing, check the interviews that go back a couple of months and listen to Leland's amazing life story and all that he went through. Because truly, it's amazing to be a quadriplegic once and a paraplegic once and heal yourself both times. Nobody doesn't think that that's amazing. So I'm going to ask a question for somebody that I've been working with who was trimming trees and got in quite an accident. When she does the breath work, she sometimes experiences pain in her body. What is a good amount of pain and what is like not a good amount of pain? When do you know that it's like when you go to the gym and work out, there's kind of good pain and there's bad pain. How do you know the difference?
That's an epic question. That's an epic question. And the best way is the same way I teach yoga. If there's some sort of discomfort is okay. You feel maybe a little uncomfortable in that moment. That's all right. But if you're experiencing a tinge of pain, like it's a pinched nerve or an experience that is excruciating, then that's a signal that we need to back off just a little bit. Same thing in yoga and in breath work. So for her, it seems like we need to adjust some of the breath patterns for her, make it more gentle, take it down to the slower pattern of breathing.
And guys, we are 100% here to serve you and your wants and needs today. So if you have any questions, please type them in the chat box so that we can make this as interactive as possible. So Leland, what have you noticed in the last, say, year of being out there teaching this, bringing this to the military? How are people receiving it? What are you hearing? What kind of feedback are you getting from people about how it's changing their lives?
Yeah, epic question. Oh my goodness. So across the board, whether they're veterans, or it's all of our amazing worldwide community, Dr. Joe folks and Tony Robbins folks, we're just noticing increased life satisfaction across the board. And I mean, when you think of veterans, you're talking about some of these guys just either got back from war or never really left the war, 20 years ago type of thing. So to have some of these people, I call it watching the lights come on, to watch the lights come on with so many of them, and to just recognize that at the heart of all of it, they're just becoming conscious of themselves, right? That's all I've ever wanted for people. As awesome as you feel getting high on your own supply, that's just a byproduct of what we do, when really what I'm working to do is create a level of awareness and a level of this self-love that's built around just noticing your breath program, just noticing where you're breathing each and every day. And that's what I've noticed from everyone. I mean, of course, we've got the amazing miracles that are coming in, people turning off their MS like a switch, or people gaining function that have had an incomplete or a complete spinal cord injury. But the biggest one is the life satisfaction, and just noticing that most all of them, the biggest thank you that I ever get is thank you for just making me notice myself, for bringing me back to my true power, which is breath and noticing in the moment what I want for me.
That's amazing. I love it. I love it that you call it the welcome home method, because when you do this, I mean, it's just, there's no greater feeling than having your sovereignty back.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad you like that. And it looks like, which pattern of breath would you recommend for healing? Any of the patterns of breath that you're going to be doing are going to be super slow, especially when you're dealing with something that you're working on healing, whether it's a neurological condition or a physical condition. So the in and out of the nose is the simplest breath, creates enough resistance for you to fill up and to empty out completely. And it allows you, when you go in and out of the nose, to really focus on that even breath pattern. Because you'll notice in all of my practices, I talk about that even breath, right? Even when you're doing the super rapid stuff. So whenever you're looking to heal something, and this is for anybody too that's experiencing, if you've had a physical injury or you're working on healing something, slow it down. Not only is being gentle to the body, but it allows you to breathe from the proper areas. Because when you slow the breath down, that's when you notice that most of us are programmed to breathe from these muscles up top. It's an unfortunate byproduct of our society that we live in. We lose the focus here. So the more you slow it down, the more you can allow yourself to do the diaphragmatic breath and fill your lungs and empty your lungs, which is going to aid in healing whatever you're working on for sure.
Got a question there from Leanne.
Yeah, clarification. And the reset breath holding of oxygen, which feels great, is okay as it's followed by an even breath. Yes, and that's an excellent question. If you notice in all of these practices, I use the intermittent hypoxia, which is when you're holding your breath, right? That's intermittent hypoxia. I use the hyperventilation or cyclic hyperventilation. That's the breath, keeping it steady. I use all of these things acutely in short fashion. These are not meant to be done over and over and over again. If you do them over and over again, it's called chronic hypoxia. And you're moving into, if you think of anything chronically, there's nothing out there chronically that's good unless you're chronically a lover and you love everybody. That's about all I can think of. But anything chronic condition wise, if you're chronically breathing heavy, if you're chronically hyperventilating, if you experience chronic stress, not good. So stick away from that. Good question.
And what are things that you offer that people can dip their toes in? You know, if somebody's a total beginner, if somebody's not a beginner.
Yeah, absolutely. So I put that link in, which is our community link. You can find us there. That's the best way to at least start, ask a question like, hey, where do I start here? So that's our community room. It's a WhatsApp chat where you can come in. We also breathe every 30 minutes. There's people doing the 60 seconds to freedom in there, which is kind of fun. But other than that, we have healing breathwork fundamentals, which is essentially, that's akin to our progressive. So if you think of the progressive for Dr. Joe, when you look at healing breathwork fundamentals, that's exactly what I've created. It's a 5-week recorded course that allows you to break down week by week what's happening inside of your body, what systems and processes. You hear me saying it all the time, right? You're activating systems and processes in your body. Now you get to know what those systems and processes are, which kind of helps you adjust the breath and surrender to the breath overall.
Beautiful.
So that's where you want to start for sure. Healing breathwork fundamentals.
And again, if anybody's got any questions, this is your opportunity. Leland is a treasure trove of information. He's getting degrees on neuroanatomy and what degrees what are the titles of your degrees that you're going after right now?
The doubles that I'm working on getting are neurochemistry and neuropsychology. So earning my master's in psychology, moving into neurochemistry first, and then neuropsychology after that.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
There you go.
Where can we access this course? Yeah, I'll pop in that link for you guys. And there is a code that I actually created just for this week for you as well. It gives 200 off of that. So I will drop that in there. Let me see here. I'll put it in, but you guys can continue to ask questions as I'm doing that. Excellent question. Let me get that for you. And did I miss any questions when I was, anybody else have a question that I did not hit?
I think we got it, but if anybody didn't get their question answered that asked it earlier on, I think we covered it, but please just type it in the chat box, raise your hand. Again, we are solely here to just help you get to the next level of your life.
Absolutely. And have you told them about you at all? At least
we'll get to that.
Most
in just
of them
a few
know about you anyways, right?
Well, you're so sweet, but yeah, I'll cover that in just a minute or two here. But Lori's got a question for you. She's a dear friend of mine. Hi, Lori.
Hey, Lori.
Lori's amazing.
Awesome.
I love Tara.
She's been a Tony Robbins gal since she was 17 years old, and she just freaking rocks it.
I love it.
You. Thank you. And then at the same time, we all just need help. So my question is, I am very new to you. I'm very much a believer in everything we're saying, and my curiosity is specific to my own world. And I'm asking, what would be the best healing process for someone that has remediated most neurological issues from autism?
Mhm.
And I'm watching my son specifically develop. He's 19, so his brain is in that frontal lobe, really maximizing capacity. And when I say autism, he had all neurological functions were diminished. Short-term memory was it was -1%. Long-term was -1%. Auditory processing was 1 minute delayed. Spatial awareness was completely off-center. I mean, he can shut down the left and the right side of his brain and work out of each without connecting. And so, since you're studying all the things that helped me find his recipe, what say you?
Yeah. Oh my God, this is an epic one. I love this. So some of the patterns of breath that are going to be epic for him, especially, are going to be the ones that include the sighs, because we notice the sighs,
Size. Okay.
the one that you hear me do in through the nose and a sigh. So any of the ones with a sigh are going to be absolutely epic, because that sigh is doing a few things. It's increasing nitric oxide, which is also going to vasodilate the system. It opens capillaries, arteries, veins, everything, so that you have more of that supple vasculature inside of the body. And then the sigh also is releasing energy and vibrating through the entire nervous system. So we notice that 2-ply, it's serving the nervous tissue, and it's also serving the sensory function, as well as elevating that nitric oxide. And one that he's really going to like, this one, I haven't taught much of this, and I need to actually do it. It's called the Brahmari breath. It's actually something from yoga, and it's where you hum. So basically you take your tragus, right? This little flap in your ear, and you press. Everybody can try this. This is a lot of fun. You're going to love this one. Okay, let me put my sound thingy on so you can hear me. Okay, so thumbs in the tragus. Now you hear that echo chamber, right? You can still hear me, but it's an echo chamber. Now you're going to take your hands and you're going to put them over your eyes just to cut off the eyesight. Take a breath in. Take a breath in. Take a breath in. Keep your mouth closed and hum. Slowly breathe in. Hum. Play with the attenuation as you hum, up and down. Play with that as you attenuate. Slowly inhale, very slowly inhale, very slowly inhale, very slowly inhale. Now hum again, start high and then move to mid, then move to low, and let that attenuation just play as you exhale and hum. There we go. Come back when you're ready. How'd that feel?
That's crazy relaxing. Oh my God, that's crazy.
And so this is one of the things, especially with folks that are on the spectrum, that I love working with this, because it does help to attenuate the nervous system. It helps with nervous system regulation, everything. So that's an epic one to use. And because you're humming a lot and exhaling, you get that natural CO2 escalation.
Okay.
Is what we
Can I caveat just one more add-on to this question?
Please.
Okay. So he is the same person that went from, these things to he's a academic and athletic scholar. He plays college baseball. So he's got all these other things happening. Is there any add-on, being that that's where he's at? He's studying AI, computer programs. So he's got and he's a gamer. So all of that happening and he's the kind of gamer that when he was 7, he was selling his wins for like $800.
Wow. Oh my God.
Now he runs a poker table. So I'm not saying that, I want to help him in the skill sets that he's great at.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. What we can do is let's catch up afterwards, because I feel like there's definitely some more we can dig in on for him. There's so much that immediately when you said that come alternate nostril breathing.
The recipe matters.
Yeah, it does. It does. And that's
everybody.
One of my favorite things about working one-on-one with folks is
Mhm.
I work with Parkinson's patients and we can work together. Like you name it, it just takes a different breath prescription for each person. So yeah,
Okay.
that's
Thank you
something
for
we'll
your time.
definitely work on. There's a lot to dig in there. I'm excited now to actually work with you, Lori, man.
And Magda would like to know what kind of breath will help with memory issues, brain fog, and maybe first stages of dementia. On that note, I just want to mention that I am interviewing Ellen Langer, the Harvard researcher, tomorrow, and she does a lot of studies with this type of thing. So keep an eye out for that. If you guys want to get updates on that, maybe just type your email address in the. Actually, you know what? You're going to get the emails anyway from this getting together here. But I'm going to go ahead and let Leland. And then Leland, when you're done with that question, I was not able to share my slides with people because I need you to make me host, so you can do that when you're done.
Yeah, you're on
questions.
co-host, so you're
Okay.
good to go now. Now you can go in and share your things.
There we go.
Or you
So
should be able to.
go ahead and answer Magda's question.
Okay, yeah. So with memory issues as well as the brain fog, you are going to use a lot of the inhales and sighs as well. So the sigh is going to help out with a lot of, again, that nervous system regulation. And for you, focusing on CO2 tolerance is going to be a big deal. So there's a couple of different techniques that you can use for that. One of them is box breathing. You just do extended box breathing. If you do 7 to 8 seconds for inhale, hold, exhale, hold, now you're extending CO2 tolerance. Because CO2, again, just being one of those misunderstood gases, the more that they study CO2, the more they recognize just how important this gas is. And for a lot of folks, whether it's COPD, asthma, folks that have had serious breathing issues, all kinds of other things as well, they've noticed that it is the lack of CO2 tolerance that is actually an issue, because the more that you cannot experience that CO2, you can't unlock the oxygen inside of the body. It's a necessary key component that the body needs. So CO2 tolerance for sure is going to help out a lot with memory fog.
And then David would like to know what is the best book that you would recommend for people wanting to get into breathwork?
Yeah. Okay, David, great one. Breath. If you have not read Breath by James Nestor, must read.
I've read that. I've read that. Is there
Okay,
another?
good. So the second one then, Jaws, the story of a hidden epidemic.
JAWS?
JAWS, the story of a hidden epidemic. In that, they cover rhinometry, which is measuring of people's sinus cavities, and they notice and have pictorial evidence of the changes inside of your jaw structure and everything, just with shifting breath patterns, all the way from watching children on ADHD medication coming off of that and their faces shifting. It's an amazing book. You'll like that one.
Awesome. Thank you.
Of course. And what else do we have? Magda's very new to this breath. That's good. That's really good. In fact, so the community and the link above here, I'll actually drop that in for you again. Definitely join us in the community, because there I can answer all of your questions. And if I'm not in there, most everybody in the community has done a lot of this breathing. So just like in the Dr. Joe chats, somebody's going to answer that question for you, most likely me. But there are those 2 links somebody had asked for. And when you come into that, we'll get you started with like 60 seconds to freedom. You guys can also just type in Willful Warrior in YouTube, and there's some free stuff on there for you to check out. 60 seconds to freedom, 5-minute expression.
Leland, does that include the Zoom boom room?
Oh, yes. Yeah. When you,
this thing is so much fun, guys, because a community is everything. And when you're around other, Dr. Joe people, it's just Leanne is laughing. What, have you been in the Zoom boom room? No, not yet.
Not yet. Yeah, it's a blast. What she's mentioning in your question right now, Leanne, for sure. But what she's mentioning is every 30 minutes we get in, we do 60 seconds to freedom, which maybe here in a second, before your slides, I'll do a 60 seconds round with them, so they're super tuned in to hearing what you have to offer.
Sounds good. We could do it right now. What's cool about this is it's like an instant espresso. Do not do it while driving.
Please. Yes. Thank you. Thank you for reminding me. I have had people call me and they're like, man, I did that while I was at a stoplight and that was probably not a good thing. Like, yeah, don't do that. No. What do you got?
So
Leland?
do people ever pass out when they do this? Because I mean, you're okay. So yeah. So obviously, if you're going to do this, be someplace safe where you're not going to knock your head if you were to black out. It's but it's truly it's a lot of fun.
What you got, Leanne?
I just really just was working for breath so much of my life, and then this idea about CO2 releasing oxygen within your body is like kind of mind-blowing to me. So can you expand on that a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I absolutely love this. And then right after this, I am, in fact, just so you guys know, since I was a little late, we might go past the hour if everybody's cool with that. Just a little bit. Just a little bit, because I want you guys to hear what Dr. Tara has. Tara's got some amazing stuff with her acupuncture and everything else she does. She's a fairy, basically, and a magician in physical form.
Basically,
So.
whatever's left in your subconscious mind that needs adjusting, we'll take care of it.
She's absolutely amazing. So I want you guys to get that. But really quick, let me show you. Well, no, I won't even waste your time with that. So essentially, think of it this way. You're breathing right now. As you inhale, that air comes into your lungs. That oxygen is pulled into these little sacs called the villi, right? And inside of each one of those sacs, it pulls in to each one. And once that oxygen comes in, it's inserted into your red blood cell. And inside of your red blood cell is something called hemoglobin. Hemoglobin is what captures that, right? So hemoglobin is like the Uber for oxygen. Oxygen comes in the body, the Uber picks it up, it travels around the body. Now, the thing is that oxygen can't be accepted into your muscle tissues. It can't be accepted into anything that's membranous that will accept it until that cage is unlocked. And the only thing that holds the key to unlock that hemoglobin shell or cage is carbon dioxide. So it's funny because a lot of doctors, physicians, and pulmonologists actually are theorizing that asthma sometimes happens because there's a overbreathing that naturally happens in the body. So it's clenching the bronchial tubes to force you to bring in more CO2 or to elevate your CO2. And funny enough, I have asthma patients from severe to just mild, and they have noticed amazing changes in weeks doing both the welcome home method and CO2 tolerance breathing. So great question. Thank you. And now I'm going to step out of the way and let this amazing lady tell you more about what she does, because like she said, it's like a car wash for your subconscious mind and for your soul. There's so many things when you think about what we're doing with what I do, it's on a conscious level, right? But now think about all the other aspects that she can help you out with that we're not handling with the breath side of things.
Can people see that? I don't know what I'm sharing here. What are they seeing? You see it?
It shows a summary. I see like part of something.
Oh, got it. Wait a second. Where is this? Yikes. Okay. How about now?
There we go. Now we can
see a bunch of faces. Okay, good.
Yeah.
So the reason I started podcasting was just because people were getting such crazy fast results. And the reason for that, I love what Leland's doing. I love what Dr. Joe is doing because, again, quality of life, the metrics are just going up, up, up. People feel better. They feel less stress. Their health metrics go up. But often people have something that they're particularly struggling with. So the reason that they haven't been able to solve it is because the conscious mind, scientists now know, is only 5 to 10% of your brain. The other 90 to 95% is your subconscious mind. And your conscious mind is only processing 40 bits of information per second, while your subconscious mind is processing 40 million bits per second. So if your conscious mind wants to go in one direction, but your subconscious mind wants to go in another direction, who's going to win that war? So this is why affirmations don't work. So when people are wanting to feel worthy, wanting to feel wealthy, wanting to feel like life is going their way and people love them, there's this belief in the subconscious mind, which by definition is below the level of consciousness that is swimming around in there. And the good news is I don't have to figure it out. You don't have to figure it out. We just find out what the feeling is that's getting in your way. And then I typically describe people as an iPhone 14 operating on iPhone 4 technology. And when you just go to the feelings and ask the right questions when you're in that gorgeous alpha state where things are nice and slow, you know, you're not in high beta, you're in that relaxed state, teetering between sleep and awake, you have access to this. And I can't make anybody think anything they don't want to think or believe anything they don't want to believe. That's all Hollywood and Las Vegas. I'm just a tour guide. As you guys know, stress can cause pretty much anything. I recently worked with a guy who had broken his back 40 years ago in a motorcycle accident. And he was all excited when he found out I was an acupuncturist. But I said, look, you've tried acupuncture, you've tried chiropractic. Why don't we just find out what's getting in the way of your healing? He said, great, sign me up, because he's an advanced Dr. Joe guy. And in 60 days, he didn't have the pain anymore. I even used this on my mother. My mother at age 89 was walking down the street. Thank God she's healthy and in amazing shape. But she hit a bike rack and smashed her kneecap into 13 pieces. As an older person, that can literally be, you know, a life-ending situation. Fortunately, her doctor did not put a lot of metal in her. He put a rubber band around her kneecap and just hoped that it would heal. I said, Mom, take a picture of yourself. I know you're in the hospital. You're feeling terrible. But this is going to be the before picture. You're going to be the fastest healing case on record. So in just 3 months, she was scampering up and down stairs, and 6 months later, she was going up and down ladders. I made her 2 audios, one to speed heal the kneecap, because the body will receive instructions. Again, you've got that 40 million bits of processing power per second. You want the body convinced that it's healing the best and most possible way possible. And I made her a virtual gym, because older people, especially when they're immobilized, again, that can be a life-ending situation. I made her a virtual gym to convince the muscles that they were still working out, even though they were immobilized. And that was part of her healing recovery. People who are having sleep issues, I find that this is amazing for. I'm sure breath work, Leland's probably got a million stories of people who sleep better. But this gal hadn't slept well for 7 years. She only slept 3 to 4 hours a night. She said, I don't know how this works. You never even mentioned sleep in the process. I didn't have to. I just removed the emotions that was preventing her from sleeping. These stories are all on YouTube and Instagram on my YouTube channel. You can also go to Next Level Healing, available on all platforms. This gal had been through 16 years of therapy. I cannot tell you how many people come to me who have been through years and years of therapy. She was having daily panic attacks, deep trauma to her whole being, and in just 3 sessions, her soul feels like it should. That's what Leland's talking about. It's like coming home to yourself. I feel like I get to let people out of prison for a living. I feel like Glenda the Good Witch, where I'm not giving anything to anybody that they don't already have. It's just removing the filters that got stuck in there, saying that you're not good enough, you're not powerful, you're not capable. This is Julie, who was attacked by a Rottweiler. She had been through 6 jaw surgeries. She was afraid of losing more teeth, more surgeries. She had developed a choking disorder, so that every time she ate, she was at risk of losing more teeth and having more surgeries. Anyway, so the long and the short of this is just that the power is in the subconscious mind, because that's most of our mind, and because it's below the level of our consciousness, if we can access it and leverage it, all transformation experts on the planet are becoming aware of this, which is so wonderful. People say, if this is possible, why doesn't my doctor know about this? Unfortunately, as Dr. David Perlmutter says, it takes 18 years for good information to get into mainstream medicine. He's the international best-selling author of Grain, Brain, and Drop Acid. William Davis, who was a cardiologist that got tired of giving everybody drugs and surgery when he found out that lifestyle could solve their cardiac issues, says there's no ham and hamburger, there's no grape and grape nuts, and there's no health and healthcare. So I won't go through. I mean, I have slide after slide after slide of people who've been through all kinds of work issues, money issues. This gal had health anxiety. She was always afraid something was wrong with her. She was isolating herself from her friends. She wasn't sleeping at night. She cried in her first session because regular therapy had made her worse, and she knew immediately this was going to solve her issue. But these are all on my YouTube channel, on my Instagram. So if you are curious and want to peruse through there, you can read people's stories and what they were able to accomplish, and in such a short amount of time. And if you're interested in setting a session with me, just go on my website, which I'll type in the chat box. I'll do that right now.
Yeah, they got to know how to find you.
And if you just want, I also have a free meditation called Unzip, where you can unzip from this crazy life that you're currently finding yourself in, become nothing, and experience that level of peace. And you can just say, "Hey, I saw you on the webinar, and please send me the Unzip meditation." And always love to stay in touch with people. It's so good to see familiar faces on here. If anybody has any questions for me or Leland at this point, totally happy. Again, we are 100% here just to make your life better, and let us know how to do that.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. I know I am going to schedule a session with you here coming up in May, because it's been one of those Aprils where I'm like, I need to put myself through the car wash. It's my turn.
You know what's so crazy? I work with a lot of military people, and I've never had one go back to a military scene. It's always something in childhood, something between the ages of 2 and 10. I just worked with a guy, and I don't have a slide up yet for him, but his interview is going to come out. He had 100 on his PTSD scores in the military.
Oh, yeah.
And after 2 sessions, I mean, first of all, he did not go back to anything in the military. It was childhood. It always is.
Yep.
Well, at least so far it has. Even the gal that got attacked by the Rottweiler, she didn't go back to being attacked by the Rottweiler. She went back to childhood.
Makes
Because
sense.
that's where all the triggers that have all the juice and the power get, that strong emotion with a strong thought, it gets wired there. Sometimes people know where it got buried in there. A lot of times people have no idea where it came from. Sometimes people go to a past life. It
Yeah.
doesn't really matter if it's real to your mind, then it's real.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I have to highlight this. Nan said, Tara changed my life. I am sugar-free and living a much fuller life. I've only started with you, Leland, but I can tell breath is already making a difference. Thank you to both of you.
Nan, you are such a doll. Nan is such a sweet human. I can't wait till she starts teaching meditation classes, because she's a very powerful being.
Awesome. I love it. Meditation teacher. Oh, and somebody reminded me, I completely was remiss and did not give them the 60 second to freedom little experience before he taught. Yeah. Thank you for reminding me. That was a little brain fart on my side of things. Even neuroscientists have brain farts. We do. All right. So you're going to breathe in and out through the nose. Now, here's the important part, right? As I'm breathing, notice what's not lifting.
Shoulders.
Yeah, leave these things alone. We're so used to breathing from these upper muscles. Just leave that alone. And no matter the pace, just slow it down for yourself. You've heard me talk about slowing it down. Personalize this for you. If the pattern that you hear me doing is just a little too tough, you find yourself up here, slow it down a little more. That's okay. You can do 10 breaths of a little slower. So all in the belly, okay? So in and out of the nose, even on the inhale and even on the exhale. You're going to do 10 of these breaths. You'll see me counting. I'll breathe with you. And then on the 11th inhale, breathe in all the way, and you're going to hold your breath. Now, here's the key. Hold your breath. You do just a swallow. Swallow right now. Notice how your attention went right here about to your sternum. That's what I want you to do is you're going to swallow when you hold, so you can just keep that little slight pressure or attention there in the lower dantian or heaven. And from there, you're just going to melt. Just melt and let that thing happen. Let that process happen. Make sure, as she reminded us, please be in a safe area where if you do topple over, you're not banging your head on something. I'd rather this be healing. And I don't want to have to help you heal a concussion because of 60 seconds to freedom. That would be horrible. The irony. Okay, so just settle in for the moment. Let yourself sink, shoulders fall, breathe from the belly. Breathe in all the way up, all the way up, all the way up. And now very slowly exhale all the way. Breathe with me. Breathe in and hold all the way up, all the way up and hold. All the way up, swallow into your belly, shoulders fall, face release. Go on that ride. Systematically let go of tension as you hold, sink, settle, surrender, and exhale, let it go. And for the moment, just tune into that wave that travels through the body. Alkaline process happening, allowing that new tissue and energy and new blood to circulate, and slowly make your way back. There we go. Maybe it's good I didn't do that before you spoke, because then they wouldn't have had any questions. It would have just been
Yeah, I think that is a really great way to sort of come to the end of the hour. Of course, we're totally happy to take it, but does everybody feel like amazing? I mean, and there's something so powerful about doing that in a group.
Yeah.
It's just more powerful. It's like batteries all getting together. And I mean, that's why I think we all go to Dr. Joe retreats, right? So we can be with 2,000 amazing people from all over the planet. Like, to me, it's like pulling into a gas station and filling up my tank.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I love that. It's cool too, because when you mention that, the thing that pops into my mind is relational energetics, right? Everybody who has been to a Dr. Joe retreat knows the coherence healings, right? And that same thing applies to this when you're doing the breath. Exactly what Dr. Tara is talking about. Like when we can breathe together, like, oh my goodness, that energy is increased.
I'm so enamored with the quantum field, and interviewing all kinds of people about that, and after near-death experiences and shared death experiences. I mean, there's just so much about this existence that we don't know, and our consciousness plays a huge, huge, huge role in our experience of living.
It does. Yeah, it does. You know what? And I'll show them a slide really quick. And this is from Heart Math. And this is actually anybody that's done a coherence healing or done a medicine wheel with us before. Exactly what Dr. Tara is talking about. There is power in all of us coming together, right? So in this experiment, what they did was they took 4 people. One of them had no idea that the other 3 were told and instructed to go into coherence, just regular, started doing their coherence breathing, that heart focused breathing at certain intervals and certain times, right? They were instructed to do that. The other person was not. And what they found is when the other 3 people went into coherence without the 4th person even knowing, they entered into coherence, showing exactly what Dr. Tara is talking about. There's this much we understand about our conscious world and what the power we hold inside of ourselves.
And as you do this work, as you know, Leland, you're the people that you hang out with. They just you demand that you are around more higher vibration people, and that also it makes your life so exponentially better because wow. So I'm so grateful for this community. It's life-changing. I love these teachings, these tools. So grateful you guys are all here. Does anybody have any other questions while you've got us here? We're just here to make your life as swimmingly amazing as possible.
It's a good way to say it.
Well,
Awesome.
we will be sending out emails so that you guys can stay in touch. Leland's giving you tools and links and ways to continue on with that work. If you want to reach out to me, you can just click the Let's Talk button on my website and answer a bunch of questions and set up a time to have a half an hour consult. And so great to see you guys. I mean, I love seeing the familiar faces. Leanne, it is such a pleasure to see you again. You are such a beam of light. And anything we can do to help you with your journey, please let us know.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been an absolute joy being here with you all. Thank you for being patient with me in today's little schedule. And it's been great hanging out. And of course, it's been great hanging out with you. I can't wait. This is just the beginning. Like we just did the interview and now this, there's so many more of these things to come. I know it. I can see it.
Yep. Lots unfolding and it's very, very exciting. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. Lots of love all back to you.
Yes. So much love. We'll see you all soon. Have an epic day.